outside and through to their third grand final in 4 seasons. Reed swoops on the crown with massive basket.
Reed, you are kidding me.
And the fire burned brightest. Townsville are WNBL champions for the 4th time.
Welcome to the Townsville Entertainment Centre for this round 14 Cygnett WNBL clash between Townsville and Bendigo. With finals on the horizon, the Spirit need to win every game from here and hope other results go their way, while the Fire will look to go one step closer to locking in top spot on the ladder. Julia Montesano and NBL 1 Championship coach Mark Elabakov with you. And Mark, it'll be a big test for the Spirit tonight.
It will be, but it's not one that's outside their capability, given their recent form. They're 5-2 in the month of January. Kelsey Griffin's averaging 14.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, and the Spirit just can't be counted out when you've got a proven clutch performer like her playing the way she has been.
And of course, you can't count out Townsville's Sammy Wickham. She's been one of the keys to their success. She's just gotten off a plane from Brazil with the Opals last week, and she needs 11 points to become the 57th player in WNBL history to score 2,500 points. Hopefully she can do that tonight, Mark, but what about the Opals? How is that going to affect her tonight?
Well, helping the Opals qualify for the Paris Olympics along with coach Shannon Seabaum and Steph Reed, pending overcoming jet lag, I think the international level of attention to detail and the sharpness that you have to have in those sorts of tournaments, that'll help carry through to tonight and keep everybody that's been involved playing and competing at a high level.
Absolutely, she will be one of the stars for Townsville tonight, and we're going to take a look at the ladder very shortly, and it's very interesting right now because Melbourne's loss to Adelaide last night, Mark, has shaken things up a little bit.
It has, and it keeps another finals avenue open for the Bendigo Spirit. So if they're able to win both of their remaining games, so tonight against the Fire and the next week also, and Melbourne loses next round against the UC Caps, the Spirit will leapfrog Melbourne and take their place in the top 4. They're the only team, being Melbourne, that the Spirit have the split on, and they would leapfrog them if all of those results go that way.
It's going to be very interesting. Of course, another game going on as we speak between Southside and Sydney. It'll be very interesting to see who wins that one, and the Spirit will be watching that result very closely as well. We're going to get into the teams now. We're going to start off with Townsville, and it's no surprise to see their starting 5 is Reed, Woods, Akuzo, Wickham and Roof. And we see a little bit of a sneaky player warming up there, Mark, but a solid starting 5. Michaela Roof has a big challenge ahead of her tonight.
She does. She'll likely get the job to try to curb the influence of Kelsey Griffin, her former teammate in all those championship years with the UC Caps. But for Roof, she had a double-double last time that these teams played one another, and then her task to try to keep KG quiet, I mean, that's a tough proposition for anybody in the competition, but for somebody who has some inside knowledge into preferred moves or a similar height and agility that Kelsey Griffin brings to the table, that's going to be a heck of a matchup.
And starting 5 for the Spirit is Alex Wilson, Froling, Crocker, Wilson and Griffin. And Alicia Froling injected into the starting 5 last week, Mark. She made an instant impact.
She was excellent. She had the 23 points, the 5 rebounds, but the thing that fits the Bendigo Spirit is she runs the floor really well as a lead post target. So she takes off, she outruns her matchup, and it forces people, like if we look at tonight's contest, Akuso and potentially some Michaela Roof to have to chase her up and down the floor for the entire night. And then she competes for rebounds. She's a relentless effort type of offensive rebounder. So you've always got your work cut out for you when you're having to defend someone like Alicia Froling.
For those eagle-eyed supporters out there, you might see the number 1 right there in that huddle, Alice Koenig. It appears she is back. We hope to see her out on the floor tonight. She hasn't been named in the starting 5, but we saw her warming up. She could come off the bench and have a big impact coming off that wrist injury. So all the best to Alice Koenig. But for the Fire, this game is their annual Defence Force Appreciation Round, hence why they're wearing these awesome Army kits today. Earlier on, we saw the Army beat the Queensland Fire and Emergency Services, and it's always a great occasion here in Townsville. We can't wait to see what these two teams do on the floor tonight, though, Mark. A quick word from you on what you're expecting.
A tight contest. I think it's going to be team defense that's going to be key for both of these teams. The Fire are the most efficient team in the half-court offensively, where the Bendigo Spirit, in committing to running the basketball, they've gone up a level offensively with their pace of play. So can Bendigo blunt the impact of the Fire playmakers, or can the Fire have a plan to try to slow the ball, have some foul discipline, and then limit the easy baskets that the Bendigo Spirit are able to get for themselves in fast break opportunities?
So it's first versus fifth here at the fire pit. The crowd get up on their feet as we get ready for another great game. Of course, Townsville already hold the series over Bendigo, but Bendigo can cause some trouble. They have to win every game from here to try and make the finals. So every game, every possession is must win for them. And they're about to come out onto the floor in front of what's always a fantastic crowd and a really great occasion for the Townsville Fire. Round 14 of Cygnett WNBL hoops. It's tipping off here at the fire pit. It'll be Froling and Akuso going head to head. And it'll be Townsville with the first possession. It's in the hands of Steph Reed, fresh from the Opals in Brazil. Helped the team qualify for the 2024 Olympics in Paris. Dish to Akuso early on. And she'll head to the line for what's hopefully a good start for her.
And I mentioned the efficiency offensively for the Townsville Fire. I mean, you see it on the very first possession there. A pick and roll with Akuso and Steph Reed. As soon as Steph Reed sees two defenders to commit to her, she gives the ball up immediately. That's when you've got the most maximised time and space advantage to throw to your teammate.
Akuso is having a nice season, 11.8 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, and 1.2 assists are her averages. She shoots 72% from this range, but she's got the first one to go in a positive sign for her team. Although the second one does miss out. Either way, Townsville on the board first here at the fire pit. It's going to be Kelly Wilson, fresh off her 450th WNBL game, can you believe it? An absolute Wonder Woman out there on the floor. Crocker now. Steps back on Woods, can't make the basket. Here comes Sammy Wickham. Also fresh off that plane from Brazil. Again, Akuso involved, and this time she makes the field goal.
And that's what makes the Fire tough to defend. So I talk about the playmakers that they've got. There's legitimately Reed, Woods, and Wickham who can all make those good decisions and give the Fire a good opportunity to get an open look.
Crocker looking to get going for Bendigo. Trying to get around Woods. It's great defense by Woods. It causes the stop.
Great defense, just to keep your feet, keep your arms up and wall up there in the painted area. Not bite on any of the step-throughs or fakes from Crocker. Great team defense there by the Fire.
No surprise to see Courtney Woods in the action early on. Steph Reed now using her speed and getting it to go.
Good early start by Steph Reed. So getting into the action, I talked earlier about the international level of sharpness that you have, both in your decision-making off the pick and roll. All of your on-court play and your preparation goes up a level when you're representing your country.
Alex Wilson now to Froling. A deep triple coming up for Alex Wilson.
And she's dynamite. You give her an inch or go underneath any pick and rolls with her, she'll stroke it. She's playing at a very high level.
Let's see what Woods can do in response. It off-airs. Reed nearly loses it. Just looking for an option. Goes herself. Can't nail it. So 5 points to 3. Courtesy of Wilson's triple in the play before. And she'll head to the line for a couple of free throws.
Now, while not a fast break, but playing with a little bit of tempo, within that first 7 seconds of the possession, we get a kick-ahead pass to Ali Wilson, and then she's relentless. She's tough to go with when she gets ahead of steam up there, and if she gets a shoulder-to-chest advantage on her player, she'll ride that contact all the way to the rim.
She absolutely stuffed the stat sheet against the Caps. 10 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals in her last game. She's capable of doing that all again tonight. She's scored all the Spirits points so far.
And I refer to her as a purple patch type of player. Like, she can hit just a vein of form in the middle of a quarter where she'll have 8 to 10 points almost in a hurry.
Kayla Roof can also get points in a hurry. Doesn't make the 3. Wickham. Stepping back and going again. Reed. Wilson nearly cut it off. Wickham just let it go. There's good pressure there from the Spirit.
Yeah, I like it. I think you've hit the nail on the head. The hand pressure that they're playing with, forcing the Fire to have to go back to half court to catch passes to reverse the ball across the court.
Wilson puts up a 3. Doesn't knock it down. Seems both teams are going for the 3s early on in this game, although Reed loves a fast break. Wanted the Kuzo. Instead found Roof, who found Wickham. Not quite yet, actually. She goes to Woods. She launches a three, and she nails it.
Shows you how dangerous. It's almost like a three-headed approach there from the perimeter players for the Fire. They can all finish and they can all play make for other people.
Speaking of, here's Alicia Froling on the other end. Quick possession, quick basket. He says that's the way the Spirit have to play if they to keep up with this first place Fire team. Wilson now. There's a thing or two about running the point and getting the tempo going. So too does Kelsey Griffin.
There's that matchup we expected.
And she gets the one up on Roof early on.
Now, one thing to watch for and listen out for, the Spirit coaching staff are calling go, go, the moment the ball changes possessions into a Spirit player's hands. They're trying to play at tempo in transition, which has really suited them since they've made that commitment to running.
Taking the lead off the back of that Griffin basket, and here's Wilson to extend it.
On cue.
3 straight buckets for the Spirit, and that approach has worked for them early on in this game.
And the benefit for them is they've got Ali Wilson, who runs ahead and can be, a perimeter scorer, a paint driver, but then you go to the bench, you can sub in Abby Warung and she can do essentially the same sorts of things. So it's unrelenting. They've got a number of guards who can run and gun.
Crocker this time stops and props. Can't land the three. Wickham elects to go a bit slower for the Fire. They won't be in any rush. Swings it out to Akuso for a look at three. It just fell a bit short. Luckily, the rebound comes back for the Fire. Wickham now. Pulls up for a big two. Knocks that one down.
And credit the on-ball screen there from Akuso. Bought a whole lot of time and space for Sammy Whitcomb because she trapped the foot of the defender and held her position strongly.
First points for Sammy Whitcomb in this game. She now needs 9 points to hit that 2,500 point mark and become the 57th player in WNBL history to do so. So some subs on here, and Casey Samuels is going to head into the game. And Cassandra Brown out there for Townsville. Also, we mentioned Alice Kudik was involved in the warm-up, so we hope to see her out there tonight. She is in uniform. But time will tell what Shannon Seabob does with his team. Wilson. Froling, great job to keep it in. And now they share it around. Crocker was caught in 2 minds. Luckily, it paid off. Froling got her own rebound, had to go again. She's triple teams here. But luckily, the Spirit can have another go from the baseline.
And that's what's made her really valuable to this Spirit team. So I talked in the opener about the floor running that she has. I mean, she does the same thing in the half court with the pick and roll, but it's this relentless possession play on the offensive glass. She goes, misses an opportunity to score, gets her own rebound, so she gets another chance.
It's a good look there from Samuels to start off her night. What can Townsville do in response? Reed trying to get around Wilson, kicks it out to Roof, has another look at three, and Roof drains it.
And a streaky three-point shooter, there's times when she can be really on, or sometimes they're not dropping for her. So the Spirit clearly happy to sag off her and test whether one of those days is that she's hitting, or if she's not, it's a chance to rebound and run.
One player you shouldn't sag off is Abby Warung. She drives in, and there's a foul called amongst it.
Yeah, absolutely not. She's shot the three-point shot at a high clip this season, and she gives them another spread floor three-point shooter. Whether that's in transition, she runs the floor wide and then deep, but then she spreads it for you almost near quarter court within the half court, where the moment her player goes to help on any actions in the painted area, they can kick it to her and she'll shoot it.
There's that play we've been speaking about. Alice Kunik in for her first minutes, coming back from surgery on her wrist. Haven't seen her in action for a large portion of the season. She's back there tonight. Hasn't played since the 10th of December. Some great moment for her to get out on the court. They'll be trying to feed her, but Roof goes herself this time.
And speaking to Kunik, I mean, she hasn't played for quite a while, as we see Warung go to the basket. But for both of these teams, given that there's been the FIBA break, there's a difference, or a fine line, I should say, between rest versus rust, right? So we might find these teams hit their straps in the second, third, and fourth quarter and go to another level on the back of getting some repetitions in.
How about the timing? Just in time for finals as well. Fire will be loving to have her back. They love Cassandra Brown as well because she lights it up from three-point range. Koenig has a go herself. This will be massive. Just misses.
But how's the oohs and ahs of the crowd getting involved and clearly knowing the caliber of athlete that Koenig is and what she can bring to this lineup.
Speaking of caliber of players, Froling tries to put up the shot. It's been a really good battle between these two teams so far. The Fire got off to a good start. The Spirit fought back a little bit. Now it's 15 points apiece.
Well, trying to punch the ball into the painted area, whether that's dribble penetration or feeding a roller or feeding a post there with, Froling being able to go to her post move and get herself on the free throw line. It's where you see the Townsville Fire have accrued a foul each to both of their bigs. And with Zoe B out of the rotation, it doesn't leave them a whole lot of flexibility through that front line, should they get into any sort of foul trouble.
So Alicia Froling at the line. Knocks that one down.
Alicia Froling and even Kelsey Griffin, two of the best players in the WNBL at drawing fouls. They're shifty, they throw a lot of shot fakes, they lean into your body, they try to leverage contact, and they can play through it, but they'll draw fouls as well.
So Jess McDowell-White to bring the ball down for Townsville. Steph Reed on the bench. McDowell-White kicks it out to Woods. It's a good move, it just didn't pay off in the end. Spirit still hold the lead with just over 2 minutes left in this first term. Samuels. Crocker. Bendigo happy to share it around as they have been doing for the majority of this first period in their offense. Griffin gets a hold of it, puts it up, and Akuso grabs the rebound. Let's see what McDowell-White's got here. Koenig down low. But the rest of the players are all at the top still. Happy to use the shot clock here. Brown, who knows she's a three-point shooter, this time goes in for the two. And again, the Spirit come away with it. And Wareham puts on the afterburners. I don't know if she was trying to shoot or pass. She was caught in two minds a little bit, but Towns will get it back.
But it still fits their philosophy, right? So within 4 seconds, Wareham comes up with the basketball, gets it from end to end, deep in the painted area. Anytime that you're 2 feet from the hoop there, I'd love to see her go up with a shot attempt.
Woods into Akuso. Koenig screaming for it in the corner. Akuso backing down on Griffin. And Griffin gets the better of her. And then she pushes the pace. Playing a bit like Perth at the moment. That first 7 seconds in the shot clock seems to be their focus. High-octane offense for the Spirit.
It is, and there's a clear adjustment, I think, defensively from the Fire. You watch the moment that there's a change of possession, rather than climbing in and putting a whole lot of pressure on whoever the ball handler is, it looks like there's been a shift in the last part of this quarter where all of the Fire defenders are then intending to just get back, try to fill the painted area first, and then match up from there on out, as opposed to trying to pick the ball up quickly and potentially having the ball thrown ahead to somebody else.
So just over a minute left in the first period. Fire over the limit, so it sends Kelsey Griffin to the line.
I mean, these are the choices that you make when you're a coach. So for Coach Shannon Seaborn, it's a fine line, or sometimes you need to adjust in game, whether is there profit to go and stall the basketball and expend energy going to confront it earlier in the possession, or is it safer to just get numbers back so that there's no fast break opportunity ahead and you force the Spirit to have to play in the half court.
Interesting that Griffin missing both free throws. It's not often you see Kelsey Griffin miss both.
Rest versus rust, right?
Yeah, and those cowbells as well. They would certainly distract me if I was at the line. So Crocker to inbound for the Spirit. Koenig just caught in two minds there and caught for the travel. Werung now. Has Samuels at the top of the three-point line, gets her. Then finds Crocker. Shot clock in single figures now. Who feels like launching? Is it Wilson? It is! Great basket by the veteran. Coming off her 450th game. A lot of celebrations. Let's see if the Fire can celebrate a good end to the first period. Brown. Great move, and she heads to the line for two.
I mean, strong take. We talked about her traditionally being known as a great three-point shooter if you give her the time and space to get her shot off. But if you can mix that up with the ability to go off the bounce and be able to make plays through contact, it's something if we look at other finals caliber teams like the Melbourne Boomers, Tara Reid is playing at a similar level. Known three-point shooter, has been able to be a real asset on the offensive end with the ability to take the ball off the dribble and make plays. If Cass Brown can add that to her repertoire and her instincts on the offensive end, that's just another weapon for this Townsville Fire lineup.
She's been such a fantastic addition. It brought so much experience to this team. She's played in over 15 countries, including 8 years in Europe. Spent time at the University of Portland, and of course, right here in the NBL 1 with Mount Gambier, she got in some hot form. So she's deserved this call up to WNBL level, that's for sure.
I know it all too well. She gave me many sleepless nights trying to game plan to play against her.
So 4 seconds left. Wilson launches. Not quite the shot she would want to make to finish the term, but I tell you what, the Spirit will be quite happy with that. A first period lead at quarter time. It's Bendigo 19, Townsville 17. We're going to see you after this short break.
I shoot like a girl.
Jane Hamilton. Late shot on the buzzer is good. Sammy Whitcomb.
I block like a girl.
And the block came from George. Sharp over the top of the denial.
I rebound like a girl.
Hewlin again on the O glass.
Rattles out.
There's Mailey, the two. Average 20 points a game.
I move like a girl.
Kayla George fires back.
And that's what makes us great.
Women are powering forward and changing the game on and off the court. Together, Basketbol Australia and the Australian Sports Commission are powering women in basketball. We are amplifying the voices, skills and spirit of women in the game. From the backboards to the boardrooms, we're breaking barriers, shattering stereotypes and empowering the next generation of female athletes and leaders. Get involved and together we can create a future where every girl's hoop dreams are within reach.
Welcome back to the Fire Pit, where it's the Spirit leading the Fire by 2 points at the end of the first term. Julian Montesano and Mark Alabakov with you. And Mark, it was Townsville with the first 5 points of the game, but then Bendigo slowly worked their way in and they find themselves in the lead.
They've done a tremendous job, looking to play the game on their own rhythm or within their own style. For me, it's paint versus perimeter. You've got the Bendigo Spirit trying to get the ball into the painted area to get high percentage shots. They've got 10 points in the paint. They've been able to shoot 6 free throw attempts. Between those two numbers, you've got that's 16 out of their 19 points. Frolling's got the 2 offensive rebounds, but then for the Fire, there's 9 out of 20 shot attempts have come from the 3-point line. They're not shooting at a great clip right now, so can they make an adjustment to try and get the ball back into the painted area themselves and get a bit of balance with their offensive shot selection?
We certainly expect the first place Fire to come back into this game. Let's see how the Spirit respond as we tip off the second term here at the Fire Pit. Of course, the Fire wearing those Army kits. It is their annual Army round. Had a pre-game clash between the Army and the Queensland Fire and Emergency Services, and the Army got the job done in that one.
So we see a foul on a backup play for Alex Wilson. So that particular offensive set, long-time New Zealand play. Anyone influenced by New Zealand basketball within the WNBL, I remember scouting that within the past 10 years. There's a fake decoy double screen on the weak side of the floor, and they'll have a point guard look like they're trying to throw to a known shooter coming off that double screen, but it's a decoy because the point guard in this instance, Wilson, will turn around and find the other Wilson on a back cut on the weak side of the floor. They'll open up that whole side for her to go.
Of course, a lot of New Zealand influence on the team. Kennedy Kariyama, Ratoria Tamilo, McKenna Dale also on the team, and Ezra McGoldrick, you can see sitting on the bench with the leg sleeve. So plenty of Tall Ferns flavour out there.
Yeah, and we all have, I mean, different things get influenced by the parts of the world that basketball is played on. There's many ways to skin a cat.
That was a good look there from the Fire to open up their account in the second period. Steph Reed, a known shooter. I tell you, speaking of known shooters, this time she misses out, Kelsey Griffin. But it allows Steph Reed to go again into Akuso. Now Whitcomb trying to spin around Wilson. Kunik just holds on to it. Goes for a three. Alice Kunik just misses. And a good look ahead. Oh, a good series of passing. Can Werong hold on to it and make it count? She gets it back up the top to Wilson. They had the right idea. Still fiddling around with it. Ali Wilson just dumps Roof out of the way. Points will count. Certainly the crowd wanted a bit of a foul call there. But that was just strength shown by Ali Wilson, as we've been accustomed to seeing throughout this whole season and her whole career, really. This time Reed got shoved on the way in.
Now, the last possession just prior to this that was the catalyst for the fast break opportunity for the Spirit. It's another contested three-point shot rather, from the Townsville Fire. So playing into, with your shot selection, a long rebound situation where the Spirit can get the ball and run and play the game at the tempo that they want. Within two passes, they were at the tip of the rim and probably got out of jail that Abby Werong fumbled the ball in the middle of the paint.
Here is Wilson again. What does she do this time? Hesitates and then goes, and then gets it back to Griffin. Oh, some great 1-2 action between these two, and ends up with Griffin at the line.
A beautiful pick and roll action. So you've got Ali Wilson, who drags the ball on her left hand, separates from the screen. So that gives her a really handy 45-degree angle to throw the ball ahead of the cutting or rolling Kelsey Griffin to the basket. And then there's only one defender between them, and one can't guard two.
Her third point for the game, Kelsey Griffin. Averaging 15 points, 8th in the league. Despite starting the season late as well, she's had a marvellous season.
But also, most notably, that's the second foul now for Michaela Roof. And spoke in the first quarter about how Townsville are a little bit compromised with their front court depth with Zowie B injured. They don't want to accrue any further fouls to the likes of Roof or even Zatina Ayakuso.
Roof stepping back. She can make an impact on offense, though. This time it just fell short. Ali Wilson now. Rolling Kelly Wilson for three. Akuso with the boards. Gets it into Reed. And back to Akuso. Fire down by 6. A nice look, and Akuso makes it count.
And a great finish, being able to use the far side of the basket to give her protection from the looming Kelsey Griffin as a shot blocker.
Crocker into Froling. Froling, the leading scorer for the Spirit, with the 6 points. Crocker with a deep triple and lands it.
And that's the challenge that you have whenever there's that 3 players on one side of the floor, a pick and roll, and you're lifting a corner player that's a caliber shooter like Crocker is. Anytime you drag 2 defenders to the rolling and sealing at the basket, Kelsey Griffin, it leaves that shooter open. They can either catch and shoot with time and space, or if a defender runs out, they'll throw it straight inside to Kelsey Griffin 2 feet from the basket.
So timeout called on the floor. It's a Spirit 28 up against the Fire 21. Our first timeout of the game, and it's brought to you by Cygnett, Australia's #1 digital accessories brand. Cygnett continues to power the WNBL. Australian owned and designed, Cygnett is available at JB Hi-Fi, Officeworks and other leading retailers. Visit cygnett.com. So a 9-4 start to the second period for the Spirit, coming off a Crocker 3. Is it worrying times for Townsville?
I think it is. Certainly they've got to do a better job on the defensive end to try to shut down the advantages that the Spirit have been able to create. But some of the wounds are self-inflicted with their own shot selection. So my feel, just from a coach's eye standpoint and, trying to take the Spirit out of the way that they want to play the game, it's a little too perimeter for me right now. I'd like to see them try to get the ball inside. That doesn't need to necessarily be, via a traditional post-up, but can they get the ball moving side to to side and then drive a closeout, get feet in the paint, get something that's high percentage, that then they've got capable rebounders to keep the basketball alive, and you can form your defensive transition on the back of that as well.
So a 7-point lead for Bendigo. They need to win every game from this point on if they're any chance of making finals. They need a lot of other results to go their way as well, but if they keep winning, that can only help them. Roof, with the 5 points so far this game, couldn't add to a tally on that instance.
But another perimeter shot, and from a capable rebounder. So it takes somebody who has a nose for the basketball and keeping the ball alive like Michaela Roof. If she's shooting the ball, she's not in the paint rebounding it.
Oh, Griffin just stepping around Whitcomb there. And again, she goes to the line. The third time at the charity stripe already.
This is why you can never count out the spirit when Kelsey Griffin's on the floor. I mean, not only is she an exceptional performer, but she's always the in case fire, break glass, go-to clutch performer for the Spirit as well. And it's effort-based, it's skill. Whatever you try to take away, she finds a way to have another avenue of impact on the basketball game.
Coming off a double-double against the Caps, 24 points, 11 rebounds. She guided her team to a win in her 150th game for the Spirit. One of her favourite teammate, Kelly Wilson's 450th game overall. A great occasion for the club that night. Hoping to back it up with a win on the road against Townsville. But the fire, we know they're going to come. Is it now? Is it Whitcomb? It is!
She's big time. They needed that basket.
And again, the Spirit moving with speed towards the other side of the floor. Griffin, Wilson, their leading scorer, knocks another triple down.
This could be the start of one of her purple patches.
Instant reply from Allie Wilson, her second triple of the game. Woods dumps it into Akusa. That seems to be working for them.
Yeah, Akusa's a great on-ball screener, and she keeps the defender behind her before she rolls to the basket. So she creates a series of 2-on-1s. So you see, when she's involved in the pick and roll, they may not score every time, but I'd say 9 out of 10 times they get a clean look at the basket.
Reed off and running. Decides to go baseline and reverse and gets fouled.
And look, 2 consecutive possessions. I've been asking for the Fire to try to get the ball into the painted area. They go pick and roll from that elbow, get the ball into Akuso. She gets a layup. The drive to the basket from Reed to take on Samuels with her pace, use the far side of the hoop for some protection and go to the reverse, gets herself on the free throw line. This is a better adjustment from the Fire.
How fantastic was it to see Steph Reed in Opal's colours over in Brazil? Averaged just under the 2 points and 1 rebound per game, but she worked so hard for this opportunity and she deserved that. She
really does, and it's potentially a soapbox moment for me as a basketball coach, but I think a lot gets made of, we need all of our players to be 6 foot tall and athletic and have long wingspans. But I think at the end of the day, if you're a good basketball player, you're a good basketball player. And it's so psychological. It's so much about the decision making that you have. And players like Steph Reed might not be the tallest player or most athletic player on the floor, but she's not neither of those things, but a great decision maker and scorer and leader for her team.
She'll be putting her name forward for Paris come July in the Olympics. And it's the Spirit in this game, 33 up against the Fire, 28. Timeout called out there on the floor, our second for the game. Allie Wilson leading the way for Bendigo with 14 points. And this timeout is brought to you by CTM Sport. CTM Sport is here to transform your team's travel experience. Leave the hassle of off-court arrangements to CTM Sport, the experts in sports travel management. Get the winning edge at ctmsport.com.au. So all eyes on the Townsville huddle now, Mark. They are slowly working their way back into this game, and it's off the back of more inside looks.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, certainly the last 2 possessions would indicate that. So if you're Coach Shannon Seabohm, you're praising that approach, not as a finite thing. I mean, you can't plow the ball into the painted area all the time, but it's a great catalyst for creating advantages. And I think you've always got to look there early in possessions, throughout possessions when you catch the ball. Just have a peek inside if there's an opportunity to throw to somebody or a mismatch that you've created, especially with the way that they play and defenders using switching defenses. It gives you a chance to get the ball into a bigger player against a smaller defender.
full court press here from the Fire. It's usually deployed out of a timeout. And they get back to defend the Spirit. Samuels going up against Whitcomb. And she breaks the press with a big three.
Contested shots have probably got out of jail a little bit. It looked like there was either a sagging man-to-man defensive adjustment there from the Fire or a 2-3 zone just for that particular possession. But it's a chance to try something to break the rhythm of the Spirit because they've been able to get pretty much anything that they wanted on the offensive end so far.
2:22 is going head-to-head and Brown wins out. Spirit still have a 6-point lead. It's Ali Wilson with ball in hand now. 14 points, 4 from 5 from the field for her so far tonight. Kelly Wilson to Ali. Gets past Courtney Woods and then launches another long three. That's better D from the Fire. Kuso backing down on Samuels. And gets it to go.
There's that early paint touch. Kick the ball ahead to Whitcomb. Whitcomb with great presence of mind to drop it straight in with a touch pass to Akuso in the post.
Wilson goes all the way, but Akuso was in the way. And an offensive foul is called as Atina Akuso is stepping up in this game.
That's a really big defensive possession for the Fire to step up, take that charge. I mean, anytime you've got an athlete running at you at full tilt, it's tough to get your body in the line and take that hit, but it's important if you want to be a clutch performer and win games against good opposition.
So she has a seat on the bench after a really good spell. She's leading her team with 7 points, 3 from 5 from the field. Just copped a knock there while defending, so we hope she'll get that looked at and come out very soon once again. But she might head into the rooms for a bit of a deeper look. So we'll keep you updated on Zatina's situation as the game goes on.
Important just under 4 minutes here for the momentum of the game. You feel it start to shift towards the Townsville Fire. Better execution. They've gotten some stops on the defensive end, but it's changed the mentality and the offensive shot selection from the Spirit. So the game is so psychological. Can you ride the waves? Can you weather storms? Can you try to do, you know, like overcome the challenges that you have, but in a way that allows you to keep the game on your terms or allows you to play to your identity that suits you?
Crocker into Wilson, into Griffin. Werung running. Crocker was successful for that range earlier on in the quarter. Just couldn't knock it down that time. And Reed with speed. Can't knock it in. She wanted the call as well. Don't think she's going to get it.
So essentially what the Spirit were doing to the Fire in rebounding those long missed 3-point shots and pushing it down the other way at a rate of knots. That's that last possession there for the Fire. Steph Reed comes up with the ball, flies down the floor, almost gets herself on the free throw line from it.
Whitcomb drains it.
You can't go under any screens on Sammy Whitcomb. She doesn't need a whole lot of time and space to let it go.
Townsville back within a point. You knew they would come. Werung now heads to the line.
But smart decision there, you know, an adjustment from a veteran like Abby Werung, not to be baited into making a pass or trying to deviate from what's been effective for the Spirit. The dribble penetration and driving closeouts like she did in that play, gets her feet in the paint, then steps across to her right hand where, you know, it's tough to try and contest that shot unless it's from behind. Inevitably, you put the defender in a position to foul you.
So Abby Werung at the line. Yet to score in this game. The team leading by just a point with under 3 minutes left in this opening half. Averaging the 8.2 points per game, the 2.4 rebounds. She shoots 87% from this range. And she's able to knock that one down as well.
And they'll be attempts 13 and 14 from the free throw line for the Spirits. They're doing a great job of getting themselves on the stripe.
Let's see what Townsville can do with this last 2.5 minutes. Just too hot for Kunik there. She and Ruth couldn't work together at that point.
Yeah, it looked like a miscommunication. I think Kunik was trying to seal the defender behind her so she could release that position to go and catch the ball, and Ruth threw it just a half second early.
Griffin found some space and got the bucket to go with it. Kelsey Griffin always seems like she has so much time on her hands. McDowell White onto the floor, kicks it to Kunik. Can't get her first points for the night yet. What can the Spirit do here? It's with Werung and now Crocker and now Wilson. Samuel's running for us. Samuel's launching. And Ruth with the rebound. Kunik spinning on Werung, got double team. McDowell White for an early triple. And Samuels was hit amongst the rebounders there. Both teams going hard at it. A win means everything for Bendigo. They need to win every game from here to make finals.
I like the aggressive mindset there from Alice Kunik. So she's trying to be a threat. It looks like they're trying to pattern some offenses to get her going with a high percentage look. But I mentioned off the top, you know, like her being into this lineup, she's prepared to give up good shots to get great shots. So she's got a ball in the paint, had a wide open teammate to throw to on the perimeter.
Now the Spirit can get going. Just over 90 seconds left in the opening half. Wilson's been on fire. She steps back for another triple. And it just falls over the rim. McDowell White wants some support, gets it in the form of Ruth, and then Woods. And Townsville have another go from the baseline.
That's an adjustment from Michaela Ruth. In the first quarter, she would have taken that three-point shot, but thought better of it, went the dribble handoff, and then tried to get herself into the painted area.
She's 1 from 3 from three-point range, Michaela Ruth. Kunik, desperate for those first points. Offensive foul call. So both teams now over the limit by the looks. And there's going to be a few subs for this last minute and 8 seconds as the Spirit lead by 5 in this one. Let's take a look at it on the replay. Kunik playing so aggressively. Probably just a bit too aggressive on that instance.
The challenge that you have, especially when you're an aggressive scorer's mentality type of player that Alice Kunik is you want to allow the game to come to you and not feel like you're forcing it or chasing points, so to speak. Because once that well opens up, I mean, she can score points in a hurry as well.
Crocker going downhill on Woods, and it pays off. The and one to come for Meryn Crocker.
And crafty, I mean, this is what you see when you have athletes that have played all around the world. Used the off arm, used her elbow almost to hook around the defender's body to get herself a window to scoop the ball up on the right hand. You know, anytime that you use anything or any part of your arm below your elbow, referees will signal that as a hook. But if you bend your elbow and you can use your elbow almost like a chicken wing, you can get away with that move. Very crafty post move.
Under a minute left. What can the Fire do to head in with some momentum at half-time? Foul called. So Griffin's second foul. It sends Brown to the line. Both teams will have free throws from this point on. So Cassandra Brown, she's averaging the 7.5 points per game, 2.7 rebounds, coming off 14 points and 5 boards against the Caps. And the last time she played the Spirit, she got a career-high 17 points. So perhaps if she keeps shooting like that, she might be in for another successful game here tonight. Although Wilson, she's leading all comers at the moment. Crocker coming off a big three-point play. Griffin back into Wilson. And they share it around once again. Griffin couldn't elevate this time. Gets her own offensive board. Finds her partner in crime, Wilson again. And she's the shot won't count. A foul called in the middle of all that. Ali Wilson, there's been a couple of those 50-50 drives tonight. It was good teamwork between her and Griffin. Try and get a score, but it wasn't to be. A timeout called, 16 seconds left in this opening half. 43 plays 37. Leading scorers on the floor, Wilson with the 14 points, Akuso with the 9 points. Both teams in the bonus. Spirit need a win. This timeout is brought to you by Ford Aussie Hoops. Ford Aussie Hoops, the perfect introduction to the world of basketball for kids aged 5 to 10 years. Visit aussiehoops.basketbol to register. So what sort of plays are we in store for here, Mark, with 16 seconds left?
Well, look, you get 16 seconds, so you're looking for any small edge that you can, especially if you're Coach Kennedy Kerryama. You know, whether it's offense or defense, you want to try and blow something up that the Fire are looking to do, because I mean, this match is so important. They've got zero room for error having to win, and certainly playing at a level right now where they're well and truly in the hunt. But can you steal points? So can you orchestrate the type of shot that you want to get yourself and your team into the halftime break with as much of an offensive buffer as you can get, or a margin buffer, I should say. So he'd be talking about, well, what do we want to do here defensively, and then should we come up with the basketball again? You know, what is our priority?
So Ali Wilson at the line. Defensive foul was called on that drive just before the timeout.
And there might be some pressure, so you can usually look, you know, there are indicators on the floor with Abby Warung in the rebounding contest. You might see her and Ali Wilson stay up in some pressure here. Or maybe not.
Sometimes you get the roll of the dice, sometimes you don't. Let's see what Townsville can do, though. With Warung and Wilson back in this zone now. Roof pulls the trigger. Can't land it. Perhaps that wasn't the right shot choice. It leaves the Fire behind at halftime. It's the Spirit, 44, leading Townsville 37 after 2 periods. And Townsville walked back to the sheds with an uncanny deficit. We thought the top team on their home floor might have the advantage, but it's Bendigo who have come out firing, Mark.
Well, they've got a lot to play for, and you know, potentially a whole lot more in this regular season fixture than the Fire would at this case. I mean, the Fire know that they've punched their ticket to playoffs, whereas the Bendigo Spirit, I mean, they're still in the hunt. They've got to make every post a winner, and they're coming out aggressively. So their game plan to try to push the ball any time that they can get themselves a stop, or there's a live ball turnover of possession, so a long rebound from a missed Fire three-point shot. They're running it essentially down the throat of the Fire and getting the ball into the keyway for layup type attempts, points in the paint, putting themselves on the free throw line. They've attempted, I think, doubled the amount of free throw attempts of the Townsville Fire on the back of that, and the Fire having to chase the whole time. They've got bigs in foul trouble. It wears you down over 4 quarters if you're having to play the game on those terms.
So here are the halftime stats at the moment. You can see the Spirit shooting in a great clip from the field, 43%. Those 3-pointers, they both hit 4 apiece, but Townsville have attempted more, hence why their percentage is a tiny bit lower. Free throws, 7 from 8 for the Fire and 13 from 15 from the Spirit. So nearly doubled their attempts in free throws, like you mentioned, Mark. And you can see the band getting out there ready for the halftime entertainment. But the top scorers on your screen, Ali Wilson, the only one in double figures with the 14 points. Kelsey Griffin on verge of a double-double with 8 points and 9 rebounds. And for the Fire, Akuso with 9 points, Whitcomb with 8, and Cassandra Brown doing nicely with the 6 points. So we expect the team to bounce back, that's for sure. And you can see Ali Wilson just got pumped up to 15, so she'll like the look of that as she heads into halftime with her team having a lead. And after 2 periods, it is the Spirit with the advantage over the Fire. Don't go anywhere. We've got more Cygnett WNBL hoops coming up after this short break.
Use that momentum and power you've created to explode out on your first dribble. Okay, we've got 2 more. 1.
Sometimes as women, we look for perfection as opposed to execution.
Well, work ethic is important when the players are 40 years younger than you.
Cheers.
Ford dealers have backed sport in communities for nearly 100 years. And now, from the boomers and opals to Aussie hoops, your local Ford dealer is proud to support basketball. Because all dreams start somewhere.
Oh, this is goosebump stuff. Like lightning. He's a Champagne Rugby League. Doesn't he love it? Oh! It's a footy fan's dream. This is special.
Last season was simply the best.
It is hard to sum up what we have seen. Wow!
In 2024, we're turning it up.
He's the fastest man on the planet.
This is where legends bring you the best games every round. We're ready to get stuck in.
Bang! What a tackle!
And turn it up.
The entertainers are back.
Live and free on 9 and 9 now.
Do you really want to be here?
Tonight, love
You pushed him to the point that he exploded.
has nowhere
Are you maybe afraid of her?
to hide.
Timothy, you had some opinions.
I don't regret anything I said.
I do hope that Tim opens. It would be lovely to tickle the possibility.
Must see Married tonight.
Rolling! Three-point play! The moments just keep getting bigger and bigger in this game. The photographer takes a hit.
Crocker for Bendigo makes a move, but denied wonderfully from Sharp. Lovely pass and the finish from Ali Wilson. Superb team play.
We've seen some pretty basketball already. Sure have, especially from the Flames. Oh,
We cannot. There's no pauses.
Canada from midcourt, from the arc. Jordan sets, shoots. Oh, yes! Brilliant from Jordan, Canada.
For a large portion of my career, basketball's felt like about 5% of my job and what I get to do on a team. I'm realizing
Hi, I'm Ali. And I'm Kelsey, and we're with the Ford Aussie Hoops program. We've got Charlie and Ari here. Do you play any other sports, Charlie?
Tennis.
Tennis! Okay.
What is your favorite TV show?
I did like a lot of cartoons, like the Rugrats. How long do you reckon Lily's been playing for?
long time?
I thought 10 years.
10, close. Yeah, this is my 11th year. A backcourt shot. Oh, I mean, I could try. That could go anywhere.
Not bad.
Not
Go
bad.
ahead, Ari. You want to go next round?
Try that one. Oh!
Good job.
Yay!
Good job. Nice. All right, well, maybe we should retire and these guys can take over.
I shoot like a girl.
Jane Halpin. Late shot on the buzzer is good. Sammy Whitcomb.
I block like a girl.
And the block came from George. Sharp over the top with a denial.
I rebound like a girl.
Hillman again on the O glass.
Rattles out.
There's Maley, the two. Average 20 points a game.
I move like a girl.
Kayla George fires back.
And that's what makes us great.
When it comes to pets, no one loves them quite like Aussies.
Aussies spend a whopping $33 billion on their pets every year.
Tuesday, we dig up all the facts on our furry friends.
Which pet can poo up to 300 times a day?
It's got to be a rabbit.
Worst Pez dispenser ever.
The 100, Tuesday after Married on 9 and 9 now. This is Sandrine, friend, sister, and loving mother. 12 years ago, she vanished in a gripping investigation.
We were everything to her. Mum would never leave us.
We examine the case like never before.
This was not suicide.
And ask,
if Sandrine is dead,
where is her body?
Who's been using her social media account?
The vanishing of Sandrine, Wednesday after Married on 9.
Women are powering forward and changing the game on and off the court. Together, Basketball Australia and the Australian Sports Commission are powering women in basketball. We are amplifying the voices, skills and spirit of women in the game. From the backboards to the boardrooms, we're breaking barriers, shattering stereotypes and empowering the next generation of female athletes and leaders. Get involved and together we can create a future where every girl's hoop dreams are within reach.
Points at halftime. Julian Montesano and Mark Alabakov with you. And Mark, what does each team need to do to win from here?
Well, I think for the Townsville Fire, it comes down to shot selection. And shot selection is who, when, and then what type of shot you're taking. So they're taking a whole lot of three-point shots. If they can have that come on the back of a paint touch and then be really clear on their defensive transition rules, that's important. But for the Spirit, I mean, their push of the basketball is getting them a stack of paint looks, points in the paint, and free throws. They've made 7 more points than the Fire from the free throw line, and look what the margin is.
Look at that. That's exactly right. Whitcomb can get things started. This time it rims out. Akuso back out to Reed as we tip off the third period. in Townsville Friars annual Army Appreciation Round, and it's Akuso who gets the first points of the second half. Great to see the uniforms that the Townsville Fire are wearing today. Here's Ali Wilson, the leading scorer on the court at the moment. It gets turned over though. This is a good start for the Fire. Reed into Woods. Pops it up and knocks it down.
They do a great job of their shot selection when they, within their flow of their offense, when you've got the ball in playmakers' hands like Woods, like Whitcomb, like Reed.
Like Griffin as well for the other team, but
absolutely.
just missing out on that occasion. Griffin with the 8 points so far this game. Whitcomb couldn't find someone to go with her.
But they seek advantages, and the moment that the advantage presents, whether that's for the ball handler, and it's why you've got to have scorers in these positions, you've got to be prepared to score first, look down to the basket next. And if neither of those present, you know, the third defender is committed to blowing up the action, then opposite you is a really good target to throw to as well.
Here's Reed up against Wilson. Finds Woods. Just gets tapped out of her hands. And in fact, it'll be a Bendigo ball. Woods not quite happy about it. So Ali Wilson now bringing the ball up to Griffin. Those two have been working together superbly to start this game. Crocker trying to find Griffin. There was a foul in amongst it, Bendigo ball.
And an early change in defensive tact from the Townsville Fire, being in a 2-3 zone. You can hear the Spirit coaching staff screaming out, zone, zone. So there's obviously a difference in adjustment that the Bendigo Spirit will try to look for on the offensive end to deal with that type of defense.
They're going to try and get it through sets of hands. And Frolling's fouled.
Smart decision to try to get the ball inside.
Both teams have sort of looked a bit better going inside than they have from the perimeter. Both teams have hit the 4 threes apiece. It looks like inside and aggression and driving could be the way to go in this one.
Yeah, and keeping the basketball moving, you know, gives you a chance to have the defense chase you the whole time. And what you do with that advantage, that's ultimately the test. And the Spirit of getting the ball in the paint, getting themselves on the free throw line and points in the paint.
It goes back out to Woods and then to Reed. Reed goes herself, and there was an offensive foul in the midst of all that.
Could be costly. If I'm not mistaken, that could be the 4th foul on Zatina Akuso early in this second half. It's absolutely not what the Townsville Fire would need, but a huge, huge advantage potentially for the Spirit.
And of course, Roof on those 2 fouls as well. So the Bigs in foul trouble. It prompts a sub. Brown back onto the floor. She'll have a big role to play for the rest of this game, you assume. So too will Ali Wilson. She tries to go inboard for a 2. It falls to Griffin, spinning on Woods and getting the basket to go.
All class and really comfortable playing along the baseline area. So whether she's got that spin towards the baseline hand for a hook shot or she drives towards the baseline, she's really comfortable playing in that vicinity of the court.
Confirmation of 4 fouls for Zatina Akuso. She's leading the way for her team with 11 points, but she's on the bench at the moment. Allows Ali Wilson to propel forward and get it to Callie Wilson. Spirit doing a really good job of getting it through hands in offense. All 5 players have touched it here, and Froling, the beneficiary.
But you see the impact that it makes. So now Michaela Roof is the only quote-unquote big or post player for the Fire, pulled out of the contest trying to contest Alicia Froling because she doesn't want to incur another foul. Froling goes into a wide-open layup.
So timeout on the floor, Spirit 48, playing the Fire 41. An early timeout in this third period to what we've been accustomed to earlier on in the game. And if you haven't yet downloaded the official WNBL app, make sure you do. Finals are coming. You won't want to miss a minute of the action. You can download it free from the App Store. And if you're keeping your eye on this game, we have had a result in the other game as well between Southside and Sydney. It was Southside getting the job done, 81-78. So that could have big finals ramifications if Bendigo were to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, Bendigo needs Sydney to win their lose their last two games. And if they win their last two, they'll jump into that finals picture as well. So that's one loss that the Spirit needs Sydney to have. And then Sydney plays against Townsville, the top of the table team, next round. So, I mean, that's a tough proposition for anybody. I mean, certainly the way that they're playing to win, and they've got an aggressive mindset, and it's paying off so far in this one. And some of the results that they're needing to go their way absolutely are.
So back on the floor, it's the Spirit by 7 points over Townsville at the fire pit. Reed and Whitcomb out there, both coming off representation with the Opals over in Brazil for those Olympic qualifiers. Reed can't bank it in. Bendigo get the call again. Do you think there's a bit of fatigue out there for Reed and Whitcomb? I know they still look okay to me, but their team is losing and they do need to perhaps go a bit further than they usually do to get the win.
Well, I mean, I think so to a point.
Oh, Griffin flexes the muscles, gets the M1. She's putting this team on her back, especially in this second half. And she'll go to the line for one more.
And haven't we seen this for a long time in the WNBL? The pick and roll with Wilson and Griffin, thing of beauty. They're both great decision makers. Every time Wilson gets the ball, she's looking for where Kelsey is.
The third miss of the night for Griffin from the stripe. But her team's still in the lead. Came off Kunek's foot. Bendigo ball.
The Bendigo momentum having the fire a little out of sync right now.
Although Reed defending hard. Woods up high on Crocker as well. Griffin going hard on Brown, and again, Kelsey Griffin.
Now, when you play with two bigs, so essentially Griffin and Froling, Michaela Roof is the only traditional big, can only guard one of them. So you can post the other, and you put essentially Cass Brown, who's a perimeter player, in deep waters, having to try to deal with one of those two in the painted area.
You mentioned the absence of Zowie B with that Achilles injury earlier in the game. They would wish that she could be out there right now. Crocker. Another triple for her. Bendigo on fire.
The impact there, you have the urgency of Woods to go and help on the post up, knowing that that's problematic. You know, you've got Roof that you want to keep on the floor, but leaves a known three-point shooter in Crocker. They kick the ball out to her and she knocks it down.
12-0 run for the Spirit at the moment, but Brown breaks the drought. I mentioned her role in the defensive end. It's going to need some offense to match. Wilson just loses the handle, but able to get it back from Froling. Griffin leaps above the defense. Crocker, can she go back to back? It just rims out. There's a lot of excitement about what Merrin Crocker's doing right now.
Now, some of the shot selection, we talk about playing to win versus playing not to lose. Where the Spirit is in an attack mindset and they have a real scorer's mentality, but they're moving the ball to create advantages. They've been able to draw the 5 fouls on the Fire already in this quarter. The Spirit haven't incurred any.
Oh, Kelsey Griffin, stop it! She is putting on a show at the Fire Pit. And rockets up to lead all scorers. 57 plays 43.
She's just having a special season. The back end of this season, after the slow start that the Spirit had, it's got Kelsey Griffin's fingerprints all over it. She's been able to almost single-handedly drag the Spirit from where they were in terms of ladder position into finals contention, and then she comes up big in big games like this.
I like the sub that Townsville made in the midst of all that, though, getting Ella Tofeano on, a 25-year-old centre, standing at 190 centimetres tall. She might be the key in place of Akuso with the 4 fouls.
Well, she's quite nimble. I had to prepare to play against her. She played for Geelong in the NBL 1 this past season. Great rebounder, physical body. She's strong as an ox, as you see her almost take out Alex Wilson going to the basket. But she's going to provide a body that's physically strong enough to deal with some of the post play from the Bendigo Spirit.
Yet to score this season, Tofayano. Played the 3 games for the Fire. A big roll coming up for her here, and she denies Wilson. Great injection into the game. It allows Woods to go. She just loses it though. That might have been the spark that the Fire needed to get back into this one. 3.5 minutes left in the 3rd period. It's been all the Spirit after half-time. 14 points to 6. Werung now. Again, Bendigo happy to share it around. Crocker has options. She finds Froling up against Tofayano. He grabs the rebound and hands it to McDowell White. Woods. Crocker cut that one off.
So what the Fire need to do, their pick and roll play, they're making the next right decision when they can't score. They're looking down to the basket, but what they're losing sight of is that extra defender from the Spirit coming to try and blow up that post feed.
Casey Samuels joins the 3-point party. Kelsey Griffin's lit a fire in this team. The 17 points and 10 rebounds for her. Samuels joins the party, but so too does Alice Kunek for her first points since fracturing her wrist on December 10. Got the surgery, got back. She's ready and primed for finals. Woods gets the rebound. Saw it happening in the fire pit. Kunek, can she go again? Driving, stepping, and it just gets tapped out of her hands.
But like her mindset, Alice Kunek, still trying to score, being aggressive, trying to galvanise her teammates. She's called a huddle here. She's being a voice within it.
Great drive, but equally great defense from Bendigo on that play too. So we see Saffron Shields enter the game for her first minutes, taking the place of Courtney Woods. McDowell wide to Tofayano. Gets denied by Froling. Oh, and a bit of push and shove there. It's getting a bit fiery out there. Pardon the pun. The refs talking that one over. Both teams in their huddle. I know theoretically Townsville, they're already in the finals. A win or loss won't bother them too much, but there's a lot of feeling out there, Mark.
There is, and there's always some tension, and Alicia Froling plays a physical brand of basketball at both ends of the floor, and in a lot of ways that can be agitating for players to have to deal with. Challenges that you have, it's always a retaliation that the referees are going to pick up. Can you just focus on the basketball game when you feel some of those frustrations start to set in for you?
So as a result, Froling sent down the other end for a couple of free throws. Goes 1 from 2. And that's something that a young player's got to deal with, is keeping those emotions in check. We haven't seen Tofayano for a lot of the season. She's got a big role to play. She knows that, and probably just let the pressure get to her.
Yeah, and a lot goes into that. The game's not going in their favour right now. So there's a lot to have to overcome. That's why mindset and your ability to reset and just play the next possession becomes so important. And it's something that you try to train every single day with your athletes. It's not something you can just switch on and off in the heat of the moment, I don't think.
So Fire over the limit, Froling at the line once again. She's proved super hard to defend, not just in this game, but throughout her whole season, really. So nimble, goes so hard for the rebounds. We saw her offensive prowess at the start of this game. She's really making it hard for the Fire players out there.
Well, and it's all effort-based stuff, right? So running the floor, competing for rebounds, and because she can be a bit unorthodox with some of her shot fakes and the way she tries to find your body and step through, she's easily foulable.
Reed. Oh, just split the defense somehow. Found herself some space. That's much better from the Fire. What can Samuels do? Wanted the hot hand of Griffin and now gets her. Going up against Ruth this time. The shot falls short. And I think Ruth needs to stay with Griffin for the remainder of this game if the Fire are to get back into this one. McDowell White couldn't quite get the three to go. But an offensive rebound here for the Townsville Fire. Lets them go again. Steph Reed can't knock down the three. Wilson getting around Reed with a bit of help from Werung. Now Griffin into Werung. The key is free. The players are all outside here for Bendigo. So Werung jacks up a three.
You can't leave her open or go underneath a pick and roll on Abby Werung. She shoots the three at too high a clip. And has a great instinct for the moment that she sees one of those things. So you being late to go to guard her, if your hands are down, if you go under a pick and roll, she has the confidence to let that thing fly from anywhere within quarter court. She's got a step deeper than the three-point line to her range.
So Wickham and Akuso back on for this last 30 seconds. What can the Fire do to get some momentum heading into three-quarter time? It's not going to work out there.
And a real roll of the dice here from Coach Shannon Seabom to throw Zatina Ayakuso back into the action. If she incurs another foul, she's fouled out of the ball game. There's an opportunity here, and I assume that Coach Kennedy Kariyama, with this timeout, will be talking about involving Ayakuso within whatever action they're trying to get on the offensive end and baiting her into fouling or just allowing an easy basket.
Timeout called. Spirit 66, leading the Fire 47. This timeout is brought to you by your local Ford dealer, proudly supporting community basketball in Australia. So 30 seconds left here for each coach. The Spirit have been able to continue on their merry way, 22 points to 10 so far in this term. It's been off the back of some Kelsey Griffin dominance, 17 points, 11 rebounds. She's carrying this team through, Mark.
Phenomenal, and she'll continue to do that. So it's always an ever-present threat when you play against teams with Kelsey Griffin, that she can get involved in the action. I mentioned earlier that she can do that with skill. So she's a three-point shooter. She can drive the ball. She's got a great turnaround jump shot, comfortable playing in the post, but then she'll outwork you as well. So it's not always the first shot that beats you. She'll go and compete for the second, third, and fourth attempt at it. Usually when it gets into those sorts of levels of possession play for her, inevitably you foul her and she makes a basket and goes on the free throw line anyway.
Let's see what she does here. It's in the hands of Ali Wilson. She's loved working with Kelsey Griffin this season. And over many seasons, in fact. Here is Griffin. Gets fouled on the attempt, and that's Akuso's fifth.
That'll be her night done.
Big moment in the game. Zatina Akuso walks forlornly to the bench. She ends her night with 11 points, 6 rebounds, and most importantly, the 5 fouls. So a lot to fall on the shoulders of Ruth and Brown. Sorry, Mark.
No, you're good. I think, you know, a lot of credit, and this is where it shows how human we are as coaches. I mean, widely regarded, Shannon Seabom is one of the most phenomenal coaches that we've had in the WNBL, but decision-making to so into the game with 18 seconds to go in the quarter with 4 fouls, where clearly going to be a target and teams are going to be aggressive generally in those late quarter scenarios, trying to get the ball into the painted area. There's more to me that can go wrong rather than go right, but you know, sensing that this one's getting out of hand, has made a call to put her in the game that hasn't paid off. But as I said, we're all human as coaches. We all do our best and try to make our better judgment. Sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't.
So the Spirit open up a massive 20-point lead at three-quarter time. Bendigo 67, leading Townsville 47 with 1 game to play. And the Spirit really took that quarter by the horns, 22 points to 10. I mentioned the stardom of Kelsey Griffin. She took that team on her back, but what a performance from the Spirit so far, Mark.
They've been tremendous, and you know, once they were able to, through getting the ball into the painted area throughout any phases of the shot clock, they were able to bait the thin front court in terms of depth of the Fire into putting themselves in fouling positions. You know, they incur all of the early fouls on Ayakuso. We just mentioned she's now out of the ball game, but drawing some early fouls on Ruth as well, and you're really preying on a sore spot for the Fire with Zowie B injured as well. There's just not that depth there to be able to come in and guard the size and the tempo and style that the Bendigo Spirit are playing with. So credit to them stylistically. They've put themselves in a position where they now hold a 20-point lead. You mentioned earlier that the Fire have a 2-game buffer on second place on the ladder, so essentially this result doesn't matter for them. I wouldn't be surprised to see Coach Shannon Seabohm shut down potentially the starters in the roster, or those athletes like your Whitcombs and Reeds that were involved in the Opals qualification, that campaign. Sit them for this fourth quarter, get some minutes into Kunik in her first game back, potentially some players deeper within that roster that you might need to call upon in the finals, knowing that they've already punched their ticket to them. That may be the best use of this last 10 minutes.
See, I think that he still wants to win this game. There's something about Shannon and something about this team. They want to win, and they can do it. We know they're capable of coming back from this sort of margin down. They're in front of their home fans. It's a big occasion for them, their Army Appreciation Round. What can they do to get back into this game now with the Kuso out of the game, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, well, should they roll the dice with it? I think, you've got to have some change up defensively. You've got to roll something out that catches the Spirit by surprise, but gives you the opportunity to either turn them over or force rush decisions, and you've got to play at tempo. So not making up the difference in the margin isn't going to come in just half-court execution. It's going to need to come off the back of turnovers and rebounded missed shots that you fly with down the other way, and try and use your effort essentially to create some scoring on top of your execution when those opportunities come.
One more quarter to go. Will it be the Spirit who win? Will be the Fire who extend their 4-game winning streak over this team? Spirit must win all their remaining games if they're a chance of making finals. They were the informed team of January, like Mark mentioned at the start of the broadcast. A 5-2 record in that month. And Ali Wilson's off and running again. Gets the first points of the fourth. Signature pace from Ali Wilson to get things going again for the Spirit. Ruth, Brown, Kunik, Woods and Whitcomb all starting on the floor. And Wilson pulls down the rebound and gets going again for Bendigo. Swings it to Kelsey Griffin for 3. Kelsey Griffin!
Big time. And I mentioned earlier, she's got the skill, right? So she's so hard to try to plug gaps against. So if you guard her with the smaller player, she's going to take him to the post. You guard her with a bigger player, she'll drive them or shoot the 3.
That's a great look from Courtney Woods. Straight back at you, she says. This game not over by any means. Ali Wilson, can they go 3 from 3, these two teams? Gets her own rebound. That is clutch from Wilson.
Great hustle, Ali Wilson, to follow her shot, keep the ball alive, and put it in with that second chance basket.
Woods can't go 2 in a row. There's some hot outside shooting from both these teams to start this fourth period. They've both been a bit off this game. Wareham goes inside this time, and that was a great move.
But going back to the well, so trying to use dribble penetration to get the ball into the area of the keyway. High percentage looks, it's why they've had so many free throw attempts and kept the scoreboard ticking over the Spirit.
Whitcomb's corner shot falls short. 8 points for Sammy Whitcomb in a return game from Opal's duty. Wilson into Griffin. Just a bit too hot this time, but Froling another offensive rebound. It's with Werung. Shot clock in single digits. Froling just took one too many steps there. Good D there by Townsville. An early timeout called in this fourth period. Spirit 76, leading Fire 50. Spirit looking to win this game. So too the Fire, obviously, but it becomes crucial for the Spirit with finals in the race. And the first ever WNBL Fan MVP Award is now open for voting. Who is your MVP this season? Head to the WNBL website and vote now to go in the draw to win 2 tickets, flights and accommodation to the WNBL Awards evening. That is a fantastic prize, but I can't choose one. I'm not good at voting for this stuff. There's so many. Look at all those candidates on the screen. It's going to be so hard, but I tell you who's putting her name forward is Kelsey Griffin in our game. 21 points and 12 rebounds. She's doing a mountain of work to get this team the win tonight.
She really is, and back to that MVP race. I mean, it's wide open, right? I can't divulge my picks. I'm on the awards committee, but I can say that there's a number of players that you could make a case for that have had phenomenal seasons this Cygnett WNBL season and been really influential in their team's success.
You can see Lauren Jackson on your screen there. Just played over in Sydney in a game that really honoured her legacy. Of course, Kayla George brought up her 350th game as well. We congratulate her on that amazing milestone. But it's all about the fire and spirit here at the fire pit roof. Can't get the team going out of the timeout just yet. Allie Wilson's been superb. The 19 points and 9 rebounds. Oh, a great look from Griffin to Froling.
Outstanding high-low look. And I mentioned earlier in the broadcast that anytime you catch the ball, you've got to scan at least the basket, or one of the things that we teach players is to scan corner, basket, and then corner. Generally speaking, that gives you the full breadth of everything in the half court within your vision.
Whitcomb found Roof. Roof can't find the basket. The 5 points from Michaela Roof. Griffin couldn't get the hold of it as it went out of bounds.
Now, if you're Coach Kennedy Kariyama, you're talking to the Spirit about still using the gravity of Kelsey Griffin as a target. If she gets her in a good position, throw her the basketball, but she's going to have a whole lot more gravity around her and attention from the Fire defense. Most likely there'll be another defender that will commit to them. And the question becomes, what are you doing to use that move by the Fire and have a counter move yourself to then blow that up and create the advantage for yourself again? Maybe it might be a teammate cutting to the basket, for instance, or a teammate screening away for somebody to cut to the basket, but can you penalize the over-helping from an extra person committing to trying to stop Kelsey Griffin when she catches it?
I would have loved that double team on Whitcomb just then. We know how powerful she can be once she gets going.
Well, she's another one. There's athletes of that tier of the Griffins and the Whitcombs that you've got to be, if you've got them on your team, planning for, well, how do I use them for their talents, but use them to create advantages for other people?
Froling again, a menace on the offensive boards. Wilson with ball in hand to Allie Wilson. She's been a menace from beyond three-point range.
Unbelievable three-point shooting from Allie Wilson. Just comes up big and is always a threat anytime in the shot clock.
Her third triple of the game, and now Kelly Wilson off and running. Tells her bigs where to go. And Froling ends up in a good spot. Kicks it back out to Werung in that corner. And McDowell White with the sturdy hands gets it to Shields. Great to see these Townsville young guns combining. Oh, but Wilson says, don't worry about the young guns, the veterans still got it.
And she's crafty, right? There's a real value to the IQ of players that have been in the game for a long time. Just anticipating that pass, put a hand out, got a hand to it, gets herself a wide open layup on the back of it and puts this one seemingly out of reach now for the Townsville Fire.
33-point buffer for the Spirit. A great steal from Kelly Wilson, who knocks it down, and as a result, a timeout called on the floor off the back of that basket. And the Cygnett WNBL Night of Nights is being held on Sunday, the 25th of February at Ridges, Melbourne. There are limited tickets available for the public, so grab yours now. Head over to the WNBL Awards page on the website. It's going to be a great night next Sunday in Melbourne for that.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. But all focus now on the game on your screen. 83 plays 50. It seems like a pretty substantial lead for Bendigo. It's a matter now of how big can they go?
Yeah, look, I mean, if you're the Spirit now, you don't necessarily want to change anything. And what I mean by that is the mentality of trying to play fast on the change of possession. You keep that ticking over, but if you're forced to have to execute offensively in the half court, the clock is your friend. You have to be in no hurry. You can work the ball till you get the shot type that you want, and then they do a wonderful job of supporting shot attempts with offensive rebounding pursuits. I mean, I think the Spirit are second only to the Melbourne Boomers in that category. And they're as elite at it as anybody on possession play.
Spirit on a 4-game winning streak coming into this game. Brown, though, gets herself a basket. She's played some positive minutes for Townsville in this game. So too is Samuels and Froling and Wilson. Crocker now. Back into Froling. Samuels has liked the look from this range, and that is why. She got knocked over as she knocked down the shot as well.
And she's been streaky from the three-point line. There's games where she hasn't been on, but then others where she's been rock solid and has knocked down everything that she's touched. So you've got to give her respect as a three-point shooter. Carry her hand, challenge her and see if you can force her into one of those games where she's not potentially hitting the, from range. Anything that lands long, you can get and run with.
Shields and McDowell-White share it around. Good to see India Boyer on the floor as well for her first minutes of the night. Shields, good hustle. It's exactly what you want to see. The crowd get around her.
Yeah, as did the gentleman in the pink shirt on the backside. Seemed to be, that might be Shields' dad, I don't know. But no, he was a big fan. But I mean, credit to her, aggressive trying to get to the basket, but then stayed in the play. One of the things that you're looking for when you're evaluating your team, how do they deal with adversity? So, while the outcome of this game might be out of reach for Townsville, there's information that you're looking for as Coach Shannon Seabohm. Who stays in the fight? Who continues to stay on task and be process-oriented rather than outcome-focused? And certainly that was Shields on that possession.
Speaking of her dad, it's actually Peter Shields. He's a former Aussie Rugby League footballer, so... Well, didn't quite catch the face of that gentleman, but...
Well, I say that tongue-in-cheek, but...
if he's out in the crowd, I'm sure he'd love it.
Hat tip to him, whether he's at home or in the building.
If Mr. Shields is watching, hello from all of us here on the broadcast. Crocker somehow got her pass back and then found Froling underneath the basket. And there was a foul called.
But see, that's the value of Froling. So turns towards her left hand, goes a left-hand hook. The shot doesn't fall, but she's a jump rebounder. So her feet land, and then she springs straight into the next attempt at trying to keep the basketball alive. And with the length that she has, inevitably she can at least get a hand on it. And usually she grabs two and comes up with the basketball.
Samuels driving on Kunik. Couldn't score. And it somehow stays with Boyer. That was good composure. Shields with it. 3.5 minutes left. What can these Townsville youngsters do to cut back the margin? Shields pulls up and knocks it down. Great moment there for Saffron Shields. A bit of a glimpse into the future for Townsville.
Yeah, very talented junior athlete, not only within the WNBL, but in the junior Australian system as well. She's had some stellar performances at FIBA World Championships for our country.
It's only just beginning for the Newcastle product. Kunik, the senior figure out there on the floor for Townsville. Whitcomb, Roof, Reed, Woods all on the bench at the moment. Akuso fouled out of the game. Kunik again driving a bit too hard.
I spoke earlier about the craftiness of that hooking motion with your offhand. There's a crafty way that you can get away with it, which was that chicken wing approach that we saw earlier in the game. And then that last attempt from Kunik, she extends the lower part of the arm. Anytime that you do that, it's far more obvious to the referee, and inevitably you're going to get called for an offensive foul.
So Bendigo clear their bench. McGoldrick out there, Simpson out there. Simpson with the ball in hand now, trying to find Griffin, the senior figure out there. Finds a rolling Simpson and gets her an opening basket to have a nice look into the game. Great moment for young Micah Simpson. Tofeano. Shields for back-to-back triples. That one falls short. 2 minutes left in this game. 90 plays 55. Townsville with the 4-game winning streak over the Spirit. And it's Callie Wilson with the ball in hand now. McGoldrick just coming back from representing New Zealand over in the FIBA Olympic qualifiers. Boya runs away with it. Good speed from the Logan NBL 1 product. McDowell White pulls up. Samuels pulls it down. Bendigo again, happy to share it around. Boya with the task of guarding Callie Wilson. Does well. Griffin ends up with it though. Samuel screaming for it in the corner. Simpson for another look. And it rolls in.
Simpson's a very capable three-point shooter. Coached against her in the NBL 1, and she's part of the Launceston Tornadoes in years gone by, and one of their things is to play fast and try to drive them, kick the basketball, and play a lot off their three-point shooting, and she's been a big catalyst for that.
Averaging 9.5 points with the Tornadoes, or average 9.5 points, I should say. And that's a nice three by Alice Kunik. This team not giving up. Under a minute left though, McGoldrick pushes the pace for Bendigo and just loses it. Boya has Kunik ahead and gets her another look, and Kunik finds another basket.
That's a great pass. A really tough catch and finish from Alice Kunik. It's good to see her get herself into the game here. Now, while this result hasn't gone in their favour, this will set her up to get some of her rhythm back when the Fire are going to need her most.
Griffin can't add to her scoring tally of 21 points to go with the 13 rebounds. Shields with one last play here for Townsville. McDowell White, can she get on the score sheet? Not quite. Griffin happy to pull down the rebound and hold the ball. She deserves to have the ball in her hand. She has guided this team to a win with 21 points and 13 rebounds. Her team calls an upset here at the Fire Pit. They keep their finals hopes alive. They break a 4-game losing streak against Townsville, while in the meantime extending their winning streak to 5. They're one of the informed teams in the competition at the moment. And at full time, it's Bendigo 93 getting victory over Townsville 60.
An incredible game by them, and the exact response that you would want if you're Coach Kennedy Kerryama coming into the Fire Pit to play against Townsville and deal with them on their home floor is a tough proposition for anybody, but you've got to come in with a play-to-win mindset. You've got to be in attack mode, and especially knowing that, I mentioned their front court depth is thin at the moment. They put them under the pump. They had Akuso fouled out of the ball game just by trying to pump the ball inside and keep it alive in rebounding contests. It was the exact recipe that they needed to execute the Spirit.
No surprise to see that our player of the game is Kelsey Griffin. 21 points, 13 rebounds and 5 assists. She went 7 from 19 from the field, just kept putting shots up, but landed a lot of them at the same time. She is coming into form at the right time, Mark Elabakov.
And she's shown that she can be that type of clutch performer. So not only can she contribute, in terms of her on-court exploits, but everybody plays with a calmness and a poise with her out there on the floor with them. She gets others involved. She had the 5 assists, 0 turnovers. So she's a great decision maker, and then just keeps battling and fighting. Got herself to the free throw line for 10 total attempts as well. We're seeing greatness in Kelsey Griffin, and we have for the entirety of her career. Any team that she's on has perennially always been a championship threat, and for the Bendigo Spirit, they've got to still do a little bit of work and hope some results go their way to claw themselves into finals, but they could upset some teams should they make it.
They've just got to keep winning. They come up against Perth to finish off their season on Saturday. Townsville up next. They're going to meet Southside on Wednesday. That'll be a massive game, and then they've got Sydney after that. 3 home games in 8 days for the Fire to finish off their regular season. Take a look at some of the highlights from the game. At the end of the first term, it was Bendigo by 2, then by 7, and then it ballooned out to 20 points and then a 33-point victory. I mean, they did so many things right tonight, especially on an away floor as well.
They did, and they played to their strengths with the pace of play and the focus of trying to get the ball inside or keep it alive with rebounding, offensive rebounding pursuits rather. And then that put a whole lot of stress on the defense for the Townsville Fire. So we mentioned earlier that Akuso gets fouled out of the game, and then the impact of that is you have to inevitably go smaller. But if you're the Spirit, nothing needs to change in terms of your game plan or your approach. You just have more of an advantage because you're being defended by people who aren't accustomed to defending those sorts of players. They haven't prepared to defend the Kelsey Griffins, the Alicia Frolings, throughout the week in the prep. But then the same type of actions. Now you're switching on a pick and roll. You're dealing with Kelsey Griffin, pinning you behind her at the tip of the rim. It's really tough. So credit the Spirit for their game plan. It created this winning recipe tonight.
And they shot well from the field as well, which just topped it all off. Just nearly at 50%, which is quite incredible. 3-pointers, they ended up getting up there too with 42%. The free throws, they got to the line a lot more than the Fire. But then at the end, the Fire have a bit of a better clip. And then the rebounding. No surprise to see the Spirit getting the job done there. Alicia Froling was a menace on the boards.
And she always is. The 6 offensive rebounds, it goes to play into the way that the Spirit play. I mentioned that other than the Melbourne Boomers, they're an exceptional, they're second place in the competition at their possession play on the offensive end. That leads to 40 points in the paint for them, 15-second chance points. They create good shots for themselves, but then they compete through work ethic, through size, and just through sheer endeavour to keep the ball alive, and it's always around the hoop and in position where you foul them.
Hey, credit to Ali Wilson as well. We spoke about Kelsey Griffin's double-double. Ali Wilson also with a double-double, 22 points, 10 rebounds as well. Great to see her getting amongst the points once again. Top scorers for Townsville was Akuso with 11 and Brown with 10. They would have loved to have Akuso out there for a bit longer because she was tracking nicely for a really good game, and perhaps a match win before was if she was able to stay out there and try and get her team back into the game. But it wasn't to be for her tonight or her team. But there's one more game to come in this round. Another game coming your way on this Sunday. It's Perth up against the UC Capitals at 4 p.m. local time. So you can tune in to 9 now for that one and see how that one turns out. Bendigo will be closely watching Perth. Of course, they faced them on Saturday. Both teams recently faced the Capitals as well. So a lot to come as we head towards the end of the WNBL regular season. Finals on the horizon. But for now, thanks for tuning in for that battle between Townsville and Bendigo. At the end of 4 periods, it was Bendigo getting the victory over Townsville by 33 points. On behalf of myself, Mark Elabakov, and our amazing production team, we hope you have a good